All right, well, we'll get going and reward all the punctual people that showed up right at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for being here. I am Tim Miner. I'm the co-founder of Charlotte is Creative. We're very excited to be part of the team with Charlotte Center City Partners and the Blumenthal, bringing Shout back this fall from September 17th through October the 3rd. That is 17 days that we want to take and demonstrate to everyone in Charlotte and to the world outside the incredible strength and passion and ability and imagination that the Queen City has through performance, through music, through art, and as we're going to talk about today, through the exploration of ideas and thought leadership and culinary events. If you are here, I'm going to do a few housekeeping things. We have an hour together. This is going to be largely a Q&A format where you guys are encouraged and invited to put questions into the chat. I will be looking at those and making sure that the team that is here from both Center City and from the Blumenthal have an opportunity to answer those. As I said a minute ago, the focus of this session is going to be on the applications for idea-based and thought leadership-based installations, events, chats, podcasts, demonstrations, and culinary exhibitions. If you are here because you're a food vendor and you want to actually be on site with a food truck or with your equipment selling your product, but it's not necessarily based on an exploration of the culinary arts, we are thrilled to have you involved in Shout. But what we'd ask is, if that's your bent, you go to send an email to vending@cltshout.com. That's a separate process, and there's gonna be plenty of opportunity, plenty of space, and a real need to have a diverse, exciting vending, group of vendors. But today we're going to talk about if you want to do something really big, bold, exhibition-based, stage-based to share the culinary arts with Charlotte at some point during the festival. What I now want to make sure that you guys know, the team from that's behind the event that's on the call. We have Robert Crumbine and Christine Lockett. And I'm Monica from Charlotte Center City Partners. And we have Tom Gabbard from Blumenthal Performing Arts. And if I am missing anybody because I'm not seeing you in the squares, please let me know. But the Brain Trust is here to answer your questions about the event and about applying. You have until May 15th to get your application in. If you have not yet looked at the invitation to creative participation, if somehow you just saw this info session and you haven't looked through that document, I've just popped a link to it into the chat, and that is going to be your Bible. That explains what everybody's looking for, that has all the application dates, that has the expectations that you should have on being informed in what's being asked of you. And that's what you will use. There are links in that document directly to apply for any of the 4 idea categories for Made in CLT. That ranges from music to art to ideas and to culinary events. All right. With that said, again, this is a Q&A format. You have the Brain Trust on the Zoom. So these are the people who are going to be determining which ideas go forward. What I'd say is, the main question we've had in all these info sessions is, what if they run the gamut from, what if my idea is not fully formed, but I have a really great idea? Apply. What if I have we want big, bold, expressive ideas. And as Tom and Robert and the team have said, if the idea is magic, this is a participatory process. They will work with you to refine your application, and if necessary, find the money to get it done. So with all that said, does anybody have a question to lead us off into the Q&A? Somebody, we're looking, this is big, bold, guys.
Can we just shout
We're all safe here. Donna, go ahead.
Calling on behalf of the Charlotte Youth Ballet, and we have an idea of taking an existing performance that we recently did with professional and area student young dancers, but wanted to know, would we have access to using the giant inflatable rabbits?
I guess I would ask the leadership team with Intrude, like what's the arrangement that we have with them about how the bunnies can be interacted with?
Yeah, we last time we did have some events that went along with them, like some yoga classes. So I think, let us know what your thought is. I think the artist is very open to that. I think would need to particularly just evaluate just the safety of it and making sure, that we're reasonably protecting the bunnies. They're soft and they look so huggable, but they need some little protection. So in any event, let us know what your thoughts are, because we do like having activities in and around the bunnies.
Okay. And will the bunnies be moved to different areas, or do they stay?
Yeah, let me just say we are, we haven't announced all of this, but we are moving to Romare Bearden Park. And so the bunnies will be primarily in that lower bowl area. There'll be more bunnies than there were in the past. The height of the largest bunnies doubles. Last time, the largest bunny was 18 feet. We're going up to, I think, 35 feet. There will be some bunnies up in that upper grass area as well, but the main site is really in that lower area. And if it's helpful for us, as you're contemplating your plan, we'll be happy to go through the schematic of how Amanda has laid it out.
Okay, so should I just go ahead and put that all into the application, and then we'll fine tune it later?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
And Dawn, I'll add in that we do have a plan to put a small stage on the concrete pad down there, so that we would have a place for musical performances and so on. So there are some things that we already have considered in terms of our production.
Okay, I have one more question too. We also have a former dancer who now dances professionally in New York City with the American Ballet Theater, and she is part of a very unique commissioned dance performance, and we would love to bring it to Charlotte for this. She's finding out how exactly that would work, because it is a commissioned piece. We think it would be a really good fit. How does that all work?
I would suggest you again go fill out a form and put it in the hopper. As it relates to performing arts activity, one thing to keep in mind is that because of the festival nature of this, we do want to turn over events really quickly. And so somebody that has an idea that will take several days of tech, that it needs to sit for a while, it's going to be less interesting to us than somebody, that can do it just in one day. And if they can share the space with one day, so we can have multiple events in that venue. Because again, part of the festival environment is we want the public, to come here expecting they can rapid fire taste a lot of different kinds of things. So in any event, we're going to be activating our spaces, indoor spaces. Overall, I think we are trying to maximize the use of outdoor, because coming out of COVID, I think the more we're outdoor, the more people are going to feel safe and game to come experience Shout. And let me also mention, because I see a question here about if something actually fits a niche. Don't worry about whether or not something seems to perfectly align with ideas, music, art, or food. In fact, if it doesn't align with just one of those, if it crosses between them, even better. We love that mix. We've created these 4 pillars so that from a communication standpoint, there's a way to help explain to the public what they can expect and to organize it from a marketing and a communication standpoint. But don't worry about, oh, I'm not sure where my idea fits. Just fill out the form and share it.
Hey, Tom, there's with the second part of Marissa's question where she says, do I need to submit something that is attached to specific artists? I imagine the answer is no, but if you have ideas of the artists that you do want to work with to to help round out the idea and put some context to it, do that, but that is not a requirement. And to Tom's point too, the ideas category is that one that is really kind of the catch-all for hard to define ideas. So Cameron, you've had your hand up. If you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I feel like it was a little bit answered just now, but as a dancing artist, dance isn't listed as one of the things being sort of requested. So I didn't know if there was like a landing spot specifically for that, but what I'm hearing is ideas maybe is the right space for dance artists? Question mark.
There's also an art category, and that embraces a lot of performing arts. There's music, there's art.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there's an immersive art category, and then just a general in the arts. So we did not call it out because once we started calling out every single form, it would have been the arts festival with everything going on, which in some ways that's what we want. But again, like Tom said, we tried to be very general but specific in how we were calling it out. But yes, that would be a good space, and quite frankly, you could put it under music. So I wouldn't really just put it under art or ideas, whichever one feels better for you, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you. And then the one other thing, and I feel like this one's being asked in the chat also, but I have an idea. If I describe the idea well, will you help find a location for it, or should we have a proposed installation location?
So that's a really great question. So to let me clarify a couple of things. If you look at the ICP, you will see a footprint. That footprint is fairly clearly defined as Uptown Charlotte, with Tryon Street being the spine of the event, and then branching off from that towards Romare Bearden, out a little further west up Trade Street, or east up Trade Street, over towards First Ward Park, and so on. So you see, it's a fairly good footprint. We are going to be working and have been working on locations. So all of those places within that zone are up for grabs. If you have a spot that you think, man, I really want to dance on the side of the Bank of America Tower, I'm just making something up here for you, and that's where I want to do. This is what the show is. It's a perfect thing, and I know this would work, and everybody will love it. Then put that in there. We may be able to come back to you and go, we were able to make that happen, or we may have to say, yeah, about that. So, but we've got other ideas, and so there are unfortunately right now there are some empty restaurant spaces that we are looking at making use of. And I might mention that from an ideas standpoint as well. If you have, in food, you have an idea for a pop-up restaurant that might be very different than what most people have ever seen. You want to try something, and you've got a means to make that happen, but you think, well, I need to put it in the old Rock Bottom space. Put it in there. Let us hear about it. That's what this is all about.
One of the things that's come up in a number of these in all of our info sessions is, how much needs to be, how precise do I need to be in my application? And that gets to what Robert was just talking about the where and all that. I think the answer is if you have specific ideas, put them in there. Paint the picture through your application, but this is going to be very dissimilar from the yes/no application processes that you may have been through in the past. If you've got an amazing idea and you paint that idea well in what you apply, then that invites the opportunity for the Shout team to actually work with you to refine the idea and figure out the ins and outs. So be as precise as you can, but if the idea is bigger than the specifics, sell the big idea, and we can work with you on that. we've had a very patient couple of questions. This is from Charday. I'm going to ask both your questions. The first one is very technical. Do you have an idea of the stage size that will be available for performances? Robert, do you want to answer that? I know one of your answers is going to be, we'll find a stage.
It's going to be varied. Yeah, it's going to be varied in terms of what our needs are. So once we have a good idea of what our needs are going to be, then we will make those determinations. Obviously, if we have, I used this example a couple of weeks ago, if I have an 80-piece band that I need to put on a stage, and then we're going to build a stage big enough for an 80-piece band. So just keep that in mind. We don't know exactly what stages we'll have yet.
Okay. Follow up on that with Charday is as she's applying, is there a recommended time frame? Should she say, hey, we can do this for 1 day, 3 days, the entire festival? And again, I imagine the answer is
all the
yes.
above. All the above, but like Tom said, you know, we want to have a good mix of things throughout the entire 17 days. But if you have something that fits that, you know, let's say this was, I mean, just like the Edinburgh, right? You can go to Edinburgh and do the entire 3 weeks of performances. If you have a really great idea and it fits in beautifully with our plans, we want to have it there. We want people to come back and see it, tell their friends, and somebody else comes the next day. So yes, just give us your thoughts on what you are capable and want to do.
Michael Garcia, you've had your hand up for quite a while, and then Mark, I'll get to you right after that.
Thank you. My question, I think, has been answered in large part. So I'm encouraged to apply. So my idea would be putting together a workshop presentation / spoken word performance. I'm an emerging event host, poet that is transitioning from corporate into this artistic space. So I know in the past you've had indoor workshops and things of that sort. Being that we're coming out of COVID, will there be an opportunity to put an idea such as this somewhere? It could be outdoors and it could be indoors. My end goal would be to encourage those that were like me, who were in corporate, who were stuck behind a cubicle, and now because of being home for all of these years, inspire them, motivate them to say, hey, artists are essential workers, and then kind of build on that. So just your thoughts on that.
As far as the location and staging, we have already had some thoughts about I guess this, don't use this name as the actual name, but an idea village, a space that would be guaranteed that you want to go and hear some you know, people that are motivational and innovation thoughts and all of that. This would be the place to go. So that would most likely, again, we are focused on outdoors. There are some indoor spaces and certainly will be some indoor events, but it would most likely be an outdoor space. And I think your concept is right on. And when it comes to the ideas piece, and I think with everything, I just want to say this too. Remember, what we're doing here is we're building this festival. This Made in CLT is so important to us that that this festival really represents us. It's very easy for the team that you see here to go out and build a festival. We could hire stuff from all over the world and make a really special festival. And we are going to bring in great things because we want to have that aspirational aspect. But we want all of you to be a part of this. This is what's going to make it special. This is what's going to make it that event that in 10 years from now, people are saying, man, what an amazing place to go to. So you're on target, and anybody else with big ideas like that, just keep on going.
Last question. Is it acceptable when I submit my application to provide maybe a short clip of me in action?
Absolutely. There's a place for uploading audio and video, right?
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Robert, do you want to share a little bit about what as an adjunct to what Michael was saying, a little bit about the podcasting area that'll be going on at Shout? I think that fits well with what he was talking about.
It does. Yeah, we're working with the Queen City Podcast Network as a great potential for doing an ongoing podcast area that would essentially capture the day for you if you weren't able to be there, or a recap, or and this is going to be a great opportunity for our artists and our performers and our big thinkers and so on to participate and have a chance to really get deep into what they're all about. So we're looking forward to making that happen. There's going to be a place for that where it'll be constant. People can participate and see what's happening.
All right. Before we get to Mark, your question, for the new people on the call, if you have
Lost sound.
Pardon? You can't hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Great.
For those of you who have jumped onto the call in the last few minutes since we started, if you have questions related to applying for an ideas-based installation, exhibition, discussion, talk, or something that is a big culinary idea outside of just being a vendor, please feel free to pop those in the chat. We're asking those in line. So I'm going to get to Mark, your question now, and then Heidi Bellotto, you're next.
Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Robert and Tom. And as I hear all of you talk this morning, I was just thrilled that you guys are doing this, and what a great gift to the city coming out of COVID, bringing the community together. So thank you for all that. So I'm calling on behalf of the Charlotte Center for the Humanities, which is a new launch. And we've been hosting something called the Forum, which has been virtual. And we see an opportunity to kind of bring our first live version of the Forum to an evening during Charlotte Shout. And the Forum is an hour-and-a-half event where we do some relationship building. We have an idea presenter, and then we facilitate discussion afterwards. However, we recently got a call from Jim Mina and Opera Carolina to potentially partner with us in kind of a souped up version of a Forum event, which would include some contemporary music and spoken word that would serve as prompts for the discussion that we would have during the Forum event. So we're kind of really excited about that, and we see it as kind of big and bold and cross-pollinating two organizations in town, collaborating and bringing different elements into that event. You guys have answered some questions already regarding venue and could we ask for a specific day if we have a particular speaker that we have to bring in? Could we ask for a particular time slot or a particular length of time in order to do that? And given the complexity of what we're talking about, we would want to work closely with you in terms of the logistics of how we pull something like that off, working with both us and Opera Carolina.
Mark, I think those specifics would really be helpful because that's part of what we want to do, pulling all these things together is then look at what the appropriate time slots are and all of that. And when we have an opportunity that really is that doesn't to be a particular day and all of that, we want to factor that into the planning piece because other ideas could float anytime during the 17 days. So, and that collaboration with Opera Carolina, even better. But what you guys do with the Charlotte Center really is important. And so thank you. I'm glad. It would be wonderful to have you as a part of this.
Well, we'd be thrilled. So we'll present our idea as best as we can. We're taking some comfort that it's an iterative process and that we don't have to have all of our questions answered. So you've really helped us out with the confidence level in terms of proposing, because there are going to be some unanswered questions as we pitch it.
Like we have. We have a lot of unanswered questions too, Mark. So.
We've come to the right place, Mark. All right. Thanks a lot for that. Heidi, you have been incredibly patient. Please feel free to ask your question now.
Sure. I do a lot of things with chefs and farmers and local product across the state and do a lot of work with the Department of Agriculture and, have been all this time based in Charlotte. I write about tons of Charlotte area farmers markets. And I did an event for Chow Chow in Asheville in 2019, where I co-hosted a cooking stage, and we paired chefs and farmers. So they were all, well, they weren't all Asheville chefs. We brought in chefs from around the state, but paired them with farmers from around the state. We certainly could do that just with Charlotte chefs and Charlotte farmers. There are so many. And it had a great reception in Asheville. I think it would here too. I'd love to be a part of that. I'd love to host the stage. I'd love to help however I can, but just wondered if any of that, if you guys had addressed or were talking about anything like that. I know you have food as a part of all this, but I'm talking about a stage site where there was like a cooking stage.
Heidi, it's good to hear you. I don't see you right now, but it's
You
good
too.
to see
No, you won't see me today. Another day.
It's good to hear you. Yes, absolutely. So for those of you that do remember, Charlotte Shout really did land very nicely on a 3-day culinary arts experience that we used to do up at Gateway Village, with multiple stages of chefs and demonstrations. Some of our greatest chefs from this country have been on that stage. We would love to see something like that happen again. And so, Heidi, please go ahead and submit and send me your information. I really want to see that and discuss that with you.
Sure,
further.
that'd be great.
It's a great idea. I love the idea of getting the farmers involved, because they, as a whole, don't really have that resource to do it on their own. So having somebody that's willing to sort of pull all that together would be really big for us.
And Heidi, let me also say, because I think this would be good for others to know, it touches a really important area overall, and that has to do with sustainability and how we embrace sustainability widely. And so we're encouraging people, to explore that theme. And so in this case, what we're talking about, working with local farmers, local growers, I think, that can be a really important theme. One of the anchor projects that we're bringing in to hopefully drive a lot of traffic that you'll see marketing around comes from the UK. It's called Gaia. It's a giant inflatable earth that really beautifully reminds us of the beauty and fragility of the planet. We're hoping that'll be a catalyst for people to contemplate, the necessity for us to be better stewards of our planet. And so the ripple effect of that consideration, looking at things like sustainability of what we eat and the healthfulness of what we eat, that ties together wonderfully. But I think sustainability is an important theme for Shout ongoing. This year in particular with the Gaia project, I think we have a particularly unique opportunity to encourage people to reflect and talk about these sustainability issues and what our responses are.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Is there, because I originally was just thinking about local chefs, but are there funds to bring in some big culinary names?
There's a possibility. We're still pulling the numbers together, but there's certainly some possibilities there. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'd love to talk more about it, Robert.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
make it happen.
Robert loves talking about ideas, so that's just the answer to that question.
I like doing them too, though. I like getting them done.
Yeah, you do like getting them done too. Just for those that have been on the call since the beginning, if we will not be offended if you've got your question answered and you need to drop off. But what I do want to say is, please don't keep this information to yourself. Now that you have been a part of this call, understand that there is lots of opportunity for many, many creatives to get involved in this. So if you know of people, try to hold that competitive feeling at bay and share this. We want to, I think Tom said it best a couple of weeks back, that the only thing that any of us will really regret is that there are people that didn't hear about it and didn't apply. So if through your means or your friends, through your colleagues, share this idea. And at the very least, if someone comes to the table and their idea isn't selected, they have identified themselves as someone who might be perfect for a collaboration or to fold into another idea. So we want to know who the incredible people are doing really great work with big ideas in every corner of this city. So as you can, please share the invitation for creative participation and invite people. We have 2 more information sessions, and we have lots of information online. So share that with them. We've got 2 questions that I think have been answered. Caleb asked, would it be possible to have live cooking demonstrations on one of the stages? Even if there's, maybe Robert, I would say outside of, if the culinary area, there's opportunity to do live exhibitions all over Shout, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very cool. And then Melissa, did we get your question answered on how to invite Charlotte nonprofits to submit an application for this?
Yeah, Tim, no, thanks. That I'll definitely pass that along in our communications with our partners. I think there's a lot of great opportunity there for our nonprofit community to get involved. I did want to give them some ideas about the information sessions, because I would imagine they're going to have questions about what could, so is there a place where I can point them to of how to register for those?
Yeah, the main thing is to just go to cltshout.com. There's only like 3 or 4 navigation points in that. Get involved is the second one, and that's going to be your home base for all that kind of work.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
And Melissa, also, every one of the sessions has been recorded, just like this one's
Okay.
being recorded.
Okay.
And as soon as it's live, I have to cut the top and the end off, and then I put it out there, and it gets out on our Facebook and a couple
Okay.
other places. So you could always send people to the Shout site, or if somebody is already on our Center City Partners Facebook page, they're all
Okay.
there too.
Awesome, thanks.
Shauna had a question that she asked quite a while ago, and it's she's a representative of Coffee Cartel. We would like to do a craft coffee demonstration and audience coffee tasting paired with our community partners, speaking, spoken word storyteller, and a visual artist. So that's one thing, is to apply for that idea. The other is, can I contact someone specific to get recommendations for artists to partner with, particularly spoken word and storytelling, as well as muralists and painters? On one great answer there is it's yes, because on the Blumenthal staff now, Blues Rogers was hired last year, and he's doing an incredible amount of work with the spoken word community. And Bree Stallings was also hired at the beginning of this year, and there's no one in this town that goes deeper with muralists than Bree. So the Blumenthal has the connections there to help you round that idea out.
And they would be really happy to talk to you. And again, through this proposal process, we may identify some people, that bubble up that are available. Since I'm a big coffee drinker myself, I love to see all these coffee things. We are working to potentially have something large scale that brings together all the coffee community here to do something one day that's large scale on coffee. But I think what you're talking about is very different from that, and could actually have a wonderful place on its own. So go for it.
Yeah, I'd add that Charlotte is creative, is part of the team as well, and we've got connections in all those worlds as well. So I think if you need suggestions between people that apply and folks that have worked with Center City Partners, the Blumenthal, and us, we can help you out considerably there. So I've got a question from Claudio. It says, who can we reach out to with questions that come up outside of the information sessions? I know the first answer, Claudio, is going to be, as Robert said, to watch some of the previous ones, but Robert, Tom, Christine, if we've got more specific questions, how do we answer those in between?
There's a info@cltshout.com. You can always send an email there. There's plenty of opportunity. We've got folks that are constantly paying attention to those emails as they come through. So that's where I would send it. That would be your first start. And we can, if it's something that we need to have, somebody like Bree or Blues or one of the production folks get in touch, then we will do that.
Thanks, Robert. With Michelle, the answer to your question about a food truck exhibition, if you would unmute yourself, are you saying that you want to actually have a large scale like do something very unique with food trucks, or to be part of the
Yeah.
food trucks that are going to vend at the event?
No, I'd like to do something really unique. I was thinking during this time of COVID last year, food trucks were the go-to for most people, and there are a lot of chefs and culinary artists who opened food trucks during that time to go into neighborhoods. So what I want to see is a large exhibition of food trucks demonstrating their culinary arts.
Michelle, I'm guessing that you and I chatted a little bit about this idea last night, and I think it would be fantastic. We certainly have thought about this, and if we had somebody representing the food truck community that could jump in and really take a lead on it, I think that would be absolutely the best approach. So
I'm your person, Robert. I'm your person.
okay, so Michelle, go if you would. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off. My name is Karam Bashir, and I represent one of the commissaries, and also I have a food truck downtown. It's called the Halal Food Cart. We have about 30 plus food trucks in our commissary, different chefs, different catering people who do catering. So we have about 35 to 40 different business owners who deal with on a daily basis, either if it's a caterer or if it's a food truck or food trailer. We've been hosting a lot of different events. Also, we've been helping them get business throughout Charlotte, in different counties, different communities. We schedule them to go to different communities. But we've been reaching out to the communities as well. So to help these food trucks during the pandemic, we have taken on a lot of responsibilities as far as sending them to different communities to do these events. And maybe they can generate some business and stuff. So we have about 35 to 40 different business owners at our commissary right here in Charlotte. So if I can be of some kind of help, please let me know.
Yeah, I would love to work with you. I also am a part of a large commissary in Charlotte as well. And I think, we have at least, I think it's maybe 50 or so food trucks. And then that has nothing to do with the chefs and the people who work on the agri side. But at the same time, I would love to work with you. And this is something that, I would like to invite, food trucks and chefs from all of the commissaries who have kind of been displaced during the COVID because they've either lost their restaurants, or could not open their brick and mortar because of COVID. So I want to open this up. I am putting my proposal in, and I hope that I can get some help to, refine some areas that are a little bit, vague on my proposal. But I just think that this would be a way for people to see that food trucks are not just what I guess people imagine them to be, just, slap the food together and put it out. But we take pride in how we present our food and how we create our food and put our food together.
Yeah, so Karam, we know you very well, and thank you for everything that you do for us at Center City Partners. So, I'm glad you chimed in. Let me just say this: I know we're going to do something really big with food trucks, and the only reason why we haven't reached out and made it happen already is because we wanted to do exactly what we're doing now. And it's thrilling to those of us on the call to hear people that want to step up and take the lead on some of these ideas and make them happen. So please go ahead and submit. That will get us going so that we can follow the procedures that we have in place. But we will be in touch, and I promise you, I've been talking about this kind of food truck classic concept for a while now, even prior to COVID. So it would be an amazing thing to have an entire block, and I mean several blocks that are just nothing but amazing food trucks. So let's talk about it. Let's get it in there.
Absolutely, we would love to be part of it. Anything we can do, please let us know to help.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. So we have about 15 more minutes left on the call. If you've got questions, please drop them in. I think Jennifer asked a pretty important question. She wants to know about the vibe and environment, kind of overall feel of talks and workshops. I know one of the answers that we've used in other sessions is this, even though it's been a very heavy, weighty, important year, the general mood of Shout is celebratory. That's not to say that ideas can't be explored, but this is meant to be a little bit more of an uplift, a magical thing. But Robert and Tom, I would imagine the ideas portion, given that it's a little bit more, and particularly if it's a talk or discussion, that may be an opportunity to go a bit deeper than some of the installations or more, kind of interactive portions of Shout. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I think that's well said. We really are trying to get the public actively engaged and not have this a passive experience. And particularly coming out of COVID, I think people are going to want to share what they've been through this last year. They're going to want to talk about what their hopes and aspirations are for the future. So the more that we can activate opportunities for people everywhere, from sharing a table and getting food from a food truck to actually, being a part of a conversation, an ideas conversation that gives them an opportunity to talk about how they want to reset their lives. All those things, I think, can really be particularly meaningful this next year.
Jennifer, do you want to unmute? Do you have any follow-up questions to that, or did we answer it?
I think that, thank you for answering that. So my ideas are centering around education. So my company is called Paideia Fellowship. I teach teachers how to teach the classical liberal arts. And so it's all centered around this idea of what is freedom and how do we become actually free. And so some of the ideas I was playing with was something around the concept of freedom. And then the other direction I go a lot in my teaching is how fairy tales help us heal, how literature and fairy tales help us heal, which my general personality is to be really deep and super nerdy. And I didn't know how well that would land in this environment. So I wanted to be really intentional about not bringing too much nerdiness when it's supposed to be lighthearted, or so that was my come from with the question.
You found your home.
We are your people.
Yeah, Charlotte sounds very geek friendly. This is your place. I think, at least listening to you, it sounds like you've even got two opportunities. If you want to handle the ideas at a higher level, maybe in a very public way, you can apply for that. And then you can refine, you can do a deeper dive into some of the ideas that maybe you explore in an installation, in a talk or a discussion or a panel. So it really does feel like you've got some opportunities. And then there are people in Charlotte like Jim over at the Charlotte Art League, who the healing arts is what he's trained in. So you are going to find some collaborative people.
I know them. Okay. So, and I guess the other thing is that gives me an idea about, are you guys collaborating with Imaginon at all? And like storytelling and.
Absolutely. Yes. We are talking with them about some interesting concepts that would work together.
Okay.
But I would, Jennifer, I would encourage you, if you have something that you think is a fit with them and that place or whatever, reach out to them. Mm-hmm. I think the more we can encourage people to form partnerships that they think are the right partnerships. Don't rely on us to do it. I mean, we're going to pull these things together and then probably do some of that. But the ideal would be for somebody to come to us and say, I mean, in your case, for instance, if you said, here's what I want to do, and Imaginon wants to partner with me and they are on board, that's like, oh, right. That's what we need to hear. So I would encourage all of you that if you can think through who are natural partners, that can help programmatically conceive it. It could be a partner that is really just there to host it. Somebody, who has a physical location that you think would be the right place for it. Talk to them about that. Again, we're going to intervene to try to match make some of these things, but that's a substitute if we don't have natural partnerships that have already developed. That would be the best thing.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Well, we're sitting on a spot right now where does not seem to be any unanswered questions, but there are some people that have been on the call who haven't heard from. So this is a time, if you've got something, don't be shy. Ask the question. While you're doing that, I think I'd add on to what I said earlier that please don't hide this. So share this with other creatives. This is meant to be a great, collaborative team up, and I would say that in the sense that if you are a part of the Shout team, your idea is selected, you have an installation, you have an event, we are going to be expecting and hopeful that you will, in the months leading up to Shout, and definitely in the days just before and during Shout, you are part of the content team, that you are sharing what you're doing, you're sharing that excitement. We want there to be no excuse that anyone that lives in Charlotte during those 17 days doesn't not only know about Charlotte Shout, but feel welcome and almost just kind of counting the days to participate in this. This is meant to be an opportunity, in any year to learn and see and experience kind of the magical side of Charlotte, the creative and artistic side of Charlotte, to discover people and places, as Tom and Robert and Christine and the team have said the whole time, to reimagine. If there are spaces within Uptown that, even if they're well known, let's give them reasons to reimagine or see that space within a new light, or an organization in Charlotte to get them to do something they've never done before, to kind of reinvent themselves. This is the time, but particularly after almost 2 years of COVID, as safety allows, this is a chance to come out and celebrate not only our city, but each other. And so we want every corner of Charlotte to feel welcome, home, invited, and just excited to explore Shout on those 17 days. And you will be a vital part of making them feel welcome and knowledgeable about this.
So from this meeting, if I can put an idea really quick before we leave, I would love to work with Heidi, who works with the farmer markets. If we're going to have this big food cart day, perhaps we can connect the farmers market with the food trucks for maybe that day and the future, where they can work together kind of and trying to create something together.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help you connect with local farmers anytime.
And we will reach out to all of our food truck owners, cooks, chefs, and say, not just for that day, if we have a massive food and we can promote this, that we're working with the local farmers, please come out and support us. We'll purchase product from them to use it for that day, and perhaps in the future we can build relationships.
Karam, are you asking to, I just want to make sure we don't miss this. Are you asking to be put in touch with Heidi now?
Yes.
So that you guys can, all right. Well, I know Robert knows how to get in touch with you. We will, we'll follow up and make sure that you and Michelle and Heidi have a chance to talk together.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, that'd be great.
Well, this has been a really effective information session. You've brought great questions. Love the collaborative spirit that's in this. We've got just a few more minutes. Does anybody have anything that we didn't address or that they felt? Elizabeth, I see you. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Oh, that's not your hand up. That's a, sorry, I got my emojis wrong. That's that's a clap. Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
I'm not wearing my glasses, so please forgive me. I was looking at the information on Shout. I've never attended, but I have this issue. And I'd like to talk to you guys about it, maybe for future opportunities like this. You speak about diversity and having those involved. And I've been in conversations with friends of mine, and we've talked about how it's so hard to get kids these days involved because things cost so much. So what happens is they stay away when there are events like this. What Charlotte is like 40% African American, and I attend something like this, and the majority of people who are there do not look like me. And I was a single mother. I raised my daughter, and you guys, I think you guys know her, Carla Aaron Lopez. And
Absolutely.
art was a big part of our life. Um, you know, I made sure to introduce her to these things, but what I see is that a lot of people who were like me back then, it's just not, they think it's out of reach. And so, you know, I'd like to get involved because it really kind of hurts my heart that people feel like they can't participate. It's nothing there for them. I think it's wonderful things there for them. So to look at going forward to make sure that we are getting the diversity that reflects our community. I would love to partner with you guys. I have, I'm a former filmmaker, lived in Los Angeles for about 15, 20 years, working in television. So I have a few friends that have been in the same conversations with me who are originally from this area. And they are concerned, you know, because we don't see it coming up through the pipeline. And by the way, none of us consider rap to be music. We know that it's something and, you know, it's some stuff that's good, but we're like, what happened to all these great pianists that we used to have? What happened to the artists that did, you know, things that you wanted to have in your house that just weren't made for spectacle? So would it be an opportunity ongoing, and that's why I joined in today, to get in some discussions with you guys? Can I reach out with you guys? And I have to let you know, diversity is, you know, something that sits at my core because I work with Wells Fargo in diversity and inclusion. So I'm always looking for ways to, you know, make things accessible. But what we've also found is in making it accessible and opening the door, you still have to get people to come in.
Yep.
So I'd like to work on some ideas for ways to get them to come in.
I'll just chime in real quickly. Elizabeth, I sent you my email in the chat, so please feel free to reach out. We would love to talk to you and look at ways how we can get you involved to help us. We are on the same page with you in terms of how important reaching out and getting having an inclusive event, and one that is truly diverse from a lot of different areas. You know, diversity is a big word, so we want everyone to feel welcome, a part of this, and actually feel like they actually have a piece, or they can take away a piece that then grows. You know, these are all seeds that we plant. Those of us that are doing this, we do it for so many reasons, and for me, it's always been that idea of growing a community and getting people to see each other as who they really are. That we're all just you know, we're all just humans. We're all just sharing this planet. So please reach out. We really appreciate that you're here because that's we need more people like you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I will.
And Elizabeth, I want to just commend you on the incredible job you did raising Carla. She's an absolute change maker in this city. And I spoke with her as recently as last night about applying to Shout. So we absolutely want her voice at the table as well.
Well, you know, she's busy getting ready for a show this weekend.
Yeah.
We actually haven't talked to her in 2 weeks.
Well,
but
she's okay. I talked to her last night. She's doing all right.
But the thing is, you know, I was a single mother before I moved to LA. I think I was making only about $20,000 a year, but I still stretched to provide the opportunities for my child. And I just love for people to be able to do these sorts of things and go after their dreams and be able to achieve them. I've had conversations with young people and they've pretty much given up by 14, 15, and that hurts my heart. I personally, as a single mother, attended School of the Arts in Winston. I kept getting work in film, so I left after 2 years and had a great career in Los Angeles in television. And it was because my mom introduced me to the Mint when I was 5 years old and put me in things, and I played the violin and so on and so forth. But those things were also attainable for my parents. They could afford it. And now, you know, teachers want to charge so much, the average family simply cannot afford it. It's heartbreaking because I know for a fact, coming out of high school, the only thing that got me in college was the fact that I played the violin. I got scholarships. I did not have the grades or the SAT because I was dazed and confused. It was the 70s. Uh, and you know, there's got to be ways to help solve the problems that we're seeing today. And it's by giving opportunity and giving young people, you know, just a vision that they can take and run with and grow.
Well, I don't know if I'm overstepping, guys, but I would, in addition to the conversations that you can have, Elizabeth, with Robert and the team, that to me sounds like a great thing for you to noodle on and do some kind of a discussion series or a talk series apply for the ideas portion. Maybe it's even a design thinking exhibition or exercise about the kind of education that we need to provide. So in addition to your guidance, thank you for being here. But that to me sounds like something you should apply to make part of Shout, that public discussion.
Great. I'll think about that. We'll discuss it.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that insight and your story to this session. And we are right at an hour. If again, with the info at charlotteshout.com has been put out there. I've put the link in the chat here, so go ahead and look for it for the actually, I'll put it in one more time for the ICP document. Please share it. Please noodle on it. If you know anybody in the arts category that is thinking of applying or should be thinking of applying, we have a session next Thursday at 6 o'clock to answer those questions. And you can get the link to sign up on the Facebook page. So thanks everybody for being here. Thanks to the Shout team for answering questions. Let's make it great. Take care, everybody.